Barrett. I am Rob, thrilled to keep it rolling. This show has been on fire, and it is about to get – we're going to add some gas to it right now. Senior NFL reporter and correspondent from ESPN. And look at that view. Look at where we are right now. Sal Paolantonio doing his thing at Bank of America Stadium as he is stationed for that #1 overall pick for the Carolina Panthers. What's up, Sal?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's great to be here. You know, when you come down south, you get some great hospitality. You know that.
That's right.
Some great hospitality in Charlotte. Yeah, they're taking good care of me here. We just had a one-on-one interview with the GM, Scott Fitterer, to talk about the #1 overall pick, and just did a live shot for Sports Center. And so I thought I would stop by on Sports Take with you guys just a little bit.
Appreciate you. Now, before we talk football, breaking news as I promised. This just in. Sal Paolantonio is the 2023 recipient of the Dick Vermeil Lifetime Achievement Award to be given to him on November 1st at the Otho Davis dinner. Sal will now join legendary dignitaries Ray Didinger and Merrill Reese. Congratulations, my brother.
All right. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Well, you know, to be on a list with those gentlemen, Dave Montgomery, Gary Dorsheimer, the great surgeon for the Flyers, got that award. I mean, you know, that's a pretty good list to be on. Pretty good list.
Congrats. Well
awesome.
Deserved.
No question about it.
Very well deserved. So.
I'm emotional right now.
Gunner's tearing up. This doesn't happen often.
But here's the deal now. The only way I'm going to receive this award is if you three gentlemen are going to be sitting at one of the tables that we have as our guests.
Ooh, absolutely.
Get us in.
Deal. Yep.
You're done. There'll be a nameplate right there.
That's what I'm talking about.
Appreciate the invite. Yes, that works. Appreciate it, Sal. All right, let's start with give us the feel, Sal. You're down there, man. And when there's, I think for a while it was, it's a lock. It's Bryce Young. Will Levis suddenly came out of nowhere. There's still C.J. Stroud. What's your sense down there in Carolina?
My sense is that they're settled on Bryce Young. They aren't making that announcement until on the clock. All that kind of information is embargoed for us. We're not allowed to report that kind of stuff. Who exactly is the pick? And for good reason. You want a little bit of drama when the Panthers are on the clock. So they won't reveal it until they're on the clock. But Bryce Young, to me, is the most NFL-ready quarterback in this draft. He has gotten high marks on the cognitive tests. When we studied him for the NFL matchup show, you could just tell he has got great ball placement. You could see that he has a great degree of pre-snap reading ability. He gets in and out of the huddle quickly. Great command, great presence, great charisma. He's hit it out of the park in conversations with the head coach, Frank Reich, who we know, and David Tepper, the owner, Scott Fitterer. You know, he's hit it out of the park with those interviews. So I would be shocked if it's anybody but Bryce Young. The real issue, let's keep it real. You know, we are in Philly, or I'm not, you guys are, but this is a Philly show. Let's keep it real. He's 5'10", $180.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, and I talked to Scott Fitterer about this, and it was just on SportsCenter. You can do stuff nutritionally. You can get that lower body strength built up, but he's not Jalen Hurts. You know, they're not going to be sticking his head in there on 4th and 1 to try to get the extra yardage and the first down. They won't be doing that tush push, as we like to call it, with Bryce Young. He's not as big and strong as Jalen Hurts, no question about it. And as far as I can tell, doesn't have the arm strength or the body strength really to do what Jalen Hurts does. I think what you'll see, they got Miles Sanders here. If you remember when Fitterer was the director of college scouting in 2012, when the Seahawks picked Russell Wilson. Now, of course, there's a big caveat. They picked Russell Wilson in the 3rd round, not with the 1st overall pick. They had just picked Bruce Irvin and Bobby Wagner, and then they picked Russell Wilson. But the model in 2012, and they went to the playoffs with him as a rookie, was he only threw the ball 24 times a game. They led the NFL in rushing attempts, and they led the NFL with the Legion of Boom. in points allowed that year. So I think that's the model. You run the ball. You don't let them throw it too much. You play good defense. They got to go from 7-10 to 10-7 somehow and make the playoffs.
Hey, Sal, do you think Carolina is the perfect landing spot for Bryce when you take into consideration that Frank Reich is there to be his mentor, and Frank Reich has such a good history in terms of grooming young quarterbacks?
Right, and they also have Jim Caldwell, who coached Peyton Manning. They also got Josh McCown, who's a great, energetic sort of teacher. And then, of course, Andy Dalton's on the roster. So, but listen, hey, D-Gun, you take 4 picks and you trade away your number 1 wide receiver to go get Bryce Young. You got to plug him in and play, and he's got to perform right away. They're as training wheels off, put him in there.
He's got to go. He's got to go in, man. And when you look at how Frank is going to approach this situation, great running game, defense. This is the making in a poor division that they're in. They're going to have some success, man. Poor.
Well, it's the worst division in the NFL, and they got to go from 7-10 to 10-7. They got to flip the script on 3 games. They were under 500 in their division last year, so they got to win some games right here. Bank of America Stadium, right behind me. They got to go 6 or 7 wins at home, and then steal a game on the road. Sweep Atlanta, not too tough to do. Sweep maybe New Orleans, or at least go 1-1 in New Orleans, 1-1 against Tampa, and then steal some games on the road. Get 10 wins. You can win the division. But enough talk about the Carolina Panthers. I mean, really. You had Brian Dawkins in there. We can't be talking about the Carolina Panthers. The only thing I remember about Carolina is 2017. No Fletcher Cox. Thursday night football. Eagles came in here and beat the Panthers. Remember that?
Nigel Bradham game.
Bradham was huge.
Nigel Bradham game, Barrett Brooks. You are correct, man.
That's right.
Sal, let's go there, man. Either whether it's 10 or they move up or they move back, they're sitting there at 10-30. And boy, from the talk in the city, there's a lot of Bijan's theme here. That could just be here. What's your sense of what they're going to do here at 10? Move back up? What do you think?
Well, I think there's a lot of conversation not only in Philadelphia about Bijan, but around the league that the Eagles will, in fact, take him at number 10 if he's available, and there are other players who are not. But there's a lot that could happen between 1 and 10 and put them in a position of, all right, is it Jalen Carter or Bijan Robinson or an edge rusher or one of the 2 offensive linemen that could be there? They've got a decision to make. And everybody that I have talked to says Bijan Robinson is a can't-miss player. The problem is, do you take a running back when you've never done that in the first round? No history of doing that. I don't know if they pull the trigger on it. I really don't. I would like to see him do it. I would. I think he has the highest grade. If you look, we've all looked at Our Lads, right? Our Lads has always been my Bible. You look at Our Lads, he has the highest scouting grade of any, skill position player in this draft. Higher than Bryce Young, higher than any of the wide receivers or tight ends. Number 1 of any running back, higher than C.J. Stroud. Number 1 grade among all skill position players.
Yeah, that's it's pretty interesting, Sal. We know how he's unpredictable. We know they zig and zag and all that stuff. Any shot you hearing anything that he may try and get up to maybe get a Jalen Carter, something like that? Could he fall that far? Is that possible?
I don't think that they will. I think they only have 6 picks, right, Rob?
Yes.
So I think they're one of the teams that is interested in getting more picks. I don't think that they trade out of 10 if Robinson's there. I don't think they could take the heat of that If they pass on Robinson by trading out, and Robinson turns out to be, a great running back, they'll never hear the end of it. It's a Justin Jefferson situation, in my view. Right?
Yeah,
they got burned on Jefferson.
It has a lot of that feel to it. You're right. And
but Jefferson was lower. It was 8. There was 18, not 10.
Yeah. Right.
But I tell you, they could get into a lot. They're going to get to a real PR mess, I think, if Robinson's there and they trade out and don't take Robinson.
Interesting.
Sal, you sent me an email on Sunday with a chart, and it talks about what a hit is, and it broke down percentages of players drafted. And you said, according to you, and I want to quote it verbatim, you said Eagles must draft a pass rusher in the first round. Can you explain the chart and why you feel it's imperative they get a pass rusher?
Well, if you look at the chart, defensive end edge rusher is the number 1 overall position taken in the last 5 years. It's got the highest number of hits and the highest number of misses. So to me, it's hard to find them. And if you can get one, you absolutely have to get one. And I look at this Eagles team. I look at the age of their pass rushers. I look at the fact that, all right, they were 1 stop away from winning Super Bowl 57.
Yep.
They need a pass rusher, whether that's an interior pass rusher, a disruptive force who can rush up the middle like Jalen Carter, or an edge rusher. Now, let's go through the Jalen Carter situation, and let's make the issue of his off-the-field problems mutually exclusive, okay, from evaluating Jalen Carter. You should take him, but the problem is, what do you do with Jordan Davis and Fletcher Cox then?
I never thought
Jalen Carter is going to play day one.
Yep.
All right? That means you're going to rotate Fletcher Cox and Jordan Davis. And that means at some point in both Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter's careers, you have to make a decision about paying one or the other. You're not going to pay them both. You're not going to pay them both back to back, right? Hard to do, right?
Yeah.
2 defensive tackles.
Yep. Yeah. In consecutive years, which would be a major commitment. Yeah.
Major commitment at one position. Hard to do that. Really hard. And I go back and I look at Jordan Davis. I don't know why he only played 10 snaps in the Super Bowl when they couldn't get a defensive stop. He couldn't get on the field against Kansas City. Why? Was it bad rotation? They forgot about him. They didn't think it was a good matchup. What was it?
Yeah.
Or have they soured on him that quickly? I mean, boy, that's quick if you did. Yeah.
No one has asked that question. Why was he on the bench for most of the Super Bowl? 90% of it.
Yeah.
So
great question.
So the question becomes, if you're drafting Jalen Carter at 10, what's wrong with Jordan Davis, who you just picked in the first round?
Yep.
So I don't know.
Right or wrong.
That's right afterwards. The same position from the same college program. I don't know. Hard to justify that. And then you have to pay him. So then it's hard to trade Jordan Davis. Hey, well, I want to trade Jordan Davis to Cincinnati. Let's take Cincinnati out of thin air. Well, what's wrong with Jordan Davis that you picked Jalen Carter?
Yeah, everybody knows there's a tell there. And what do you for where you took him, Sal? You're getting pennies on the dollar. In a further trade if you wheeled him, this past year.
Yeah, so I think it's hard to draft Jalen Carter from that perspective. But they need a disruptive force, a guy who is a penetrator, who gets after the quarterback. In my view, I think Jalen Carter is already better than Jordan Davis. Don't you?
I agree.
Yes.
Sal, I will counter with this, though. I will say I agree with you 100%, but look at what Washington did in consecutive years. They drafted those 2 D tackles in consecutive years, and as porous as that Washington defense has been, they have been the cornerstone of that defense. Those 2 D tackles, I think they're the best 1-2 combination as of right now in the NFL among D tackles. And they get.
Hold on, D-God.
Yeah,
D-God, I'm going to check my watch and see when the Washington Commanders made the playoffs the last time.
That's not what I'm talking about.
I'm just gonna.
No.
Wait. No, it's not on there. I'm sorry.
Do you not like their D tackle count? Washington's a mess. Washington is an absolute mess.
But we don't want to be a mess. Right? We don't want to be a mess.
But did they not get it right putting those two players side by side?
I don't want to be caught going viral comparing the Eagles to the Washington Commanders. Okay, I'm just saying.
Yes.
I like being on this show.
Oh my God! All right, go ahead, back.
All right. So, which edge rusher would you pick? You got Van Ness. You've got. To me, I'm a Nolan Smith guy. I mean, to me, I think he's a logical pick for me, considering the fact you got already a guy Hassan Reddick. You got a carbon copy on the other side, faster carbon copy. I just think I've seen Lloyd and Green work together in Pittsburgh. I see this kind of the same mix with those two.
Right. So I'm not sure all the ones that you just mentioned that you would take any of them at 10.
Okay.
So I think if you move down and could still get them, I think you would do that. I think clearly, from what I'm hearing, Howie Roseman's had numerous conversations about moving around in the first round because he wants to be nimble. I would be shocked, blown away, if they pick twice in the first round. I think they will pick once, and they probably will jump out at 30. From what I'm hearing, they are talking to a number of teams like the Rams, who I think want to move up. The Rams have 11 picks. Remember, the Eagles only have 6 picks. That's the fewest of any team in the NFC East. That's tied for the fewest of any team in the NFC. They don't pick in rounds, I believe, 4, 5, and 6 right now.
That's
right?
correct. Yep.
Right? So they want extra picks. So the Rams have 11. The Rams picked 30 at 36 overall in the second round. I could see them trading with the Rams. I don't know if you want to help the Rams. I could see them trading with the Panthers with this team right here. If you want to move all the way to 39, the problem is the Panthers are the other team with only 6 picks. And I don't know what the Panthers can offer them. The Seahawks are another team. The Patriots pick at 46. They may want to go up to 30. And they have a lot of picks. They have 10. And I could see them trading with the Patriots. Howie Roseman has done more trades in the first round in the last 5 years than any other GM. And most of them have been with the Patriots.
Yeah. Wow. And Sal, to add to that, he also knows he's going to have a lot of ammunition next year with all these compensatory picks for the free agents they lost. So he knows he has some wiggle room, next year if he wanted to move some of the picks they already own. I know you can't trade the compensatory picks, but he could do some things. That wouldn't surprise me either if you're looking in those terms. But I got you. Like a team like the Rams makes a lot of sense. They want to get in the first round. They want to get up because they did that all-in thing, and they're in some trouble right now, the Rams.
I think the Rams are a good spot if you want to help the Rams. I think the Patriots are a good spot in the second round. The Panthers are a great spot, but I don't know what the Panthers could offer the Eagles. But I don't think the Eagles will pick at number 30 if they can help it. The other thing is cap-wise, right? If you're gonna take at 10 after you just gave Jalen the contract, can you take 2 guys in the first round and then have to pay them?
Makes sense. Well,
all
listen,
right,
we know you're up against it. We got to let you roll. You got your live hits coming for ESPN. But first off, congratulations again.
Congrats.
Absolutely. Yes.
And we always love when you hop on, Sal. We appreciate it. Thanks for a couple minutes.
Thanks a lot, Sal.
Okay. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Be good, brother.
You got
brother.
Okay.
You got it. Awesome. Very happy for Sal. That's good stuff, man. That's good
Great
stuff. Well
stuff,
deserved.
Great
Well
stuff.
deserved. Otho Davis, Barrett, you were around the man. He's
a great guy, man.
Yeah, he is. He was beloved. He really was. He was beloved.
Although his every time I came to every time I came into the room, he would say, Brooksy, just take some of his ibuprofen and ice and get out of here. I wasn't allowed to be in the to get treatment room. You know what I'm saying? I was a rookie. Oh, rookies can't come in here. Get out of here.
Yeah. Special VIP for that.
Yeah. Ice and ibuprofen, get out of here. Go.
That's funny. And I thought the point about Jalen Carter's an interesting one. And I get your counter, Derek. I get your counter. Like, to me, Sal's point was, what do you do with the three of them? I would say with as much as the Eagles like to rotate, you can still justify it if you want to get him. In other words, with Jalen and Jordan Davis and Fletcher, you can justify a rotation there with those three, I think, at least. But maybe he's looking at it like the team might, in terms of giving, paying that position coming up in a couple of years, resources allotted to that position. Who knows?
You look at how they rotated their D tackles last year, which made them so effective because of that depth at the D tackle position. This team has told us you can't have enough D tackles. You can't have enough edge rushers. That's why they have so many active on their roster game in and game out, because of the mindset is, if we keep our people fresher than your people in the fourth quarter, we have the psychological and physical advantage and energy advantage, because your offensive line has been on that field the entire game going up against our guys who are playing 50% of the snaps or less. Was Fletcher Cox played 65%, but for the most part, these guys were hovering around 50%, and that made them so effective. That's a big reason why they were able to accumulate the volume of sacks they accumulated last year, is because their guys were hunting, fresh meat in the fourth quarter compared to these offensive linemen with their hands on their knees walking to the line of scrimmage, dog tired at that point. You get to a point, Barry, and you tell me, you get to a point when you play offensive line that you're not always mentally sharp. There's one or two plays where you're not mentally right there because that fatigue factor sets in. And
Bro, we don't get off the field, man.
No.
The offensive line is the offensive line, quarterback are usually the only players that stay on the field the entire time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But the quarterback doesn't take the push and pull that you guys do.
Right.
Every doggone play.
So we play every single play of the offense. We don't get a guy to come in and relieve for us or anything like that. So yes, fatigue is definitely an issue, a factor. Even though it's harder to play defensive line, over the long haul, it's more strenuous playing offensive line because you never get a break. You never have a NASCAR where you put, all right, we're going to bring in the fast offensive line. No, it's just that offensive line is there, period, and you're going to be tired towards the end of the game. And that's just what football is. You just don't get that type of rest when you're an offensive lineman.
Well, I think the other thing that I, at least that perked my ears up that Sal said is, it's not just the city of Philadelphia where we're doing the Bijan Robinson thing. It's nationally the people that he talks to, and Sal talks to everybody in the league. I mean, literally talks to every team. They think if Bijan's there, the Eagles grab him.
Yep.
This thing could be real, guys. This thing could be real.
We're going to find out. We're going to find out in how many hours, Rob? How many hours?
We're going to find out in 30 hours and 4 minutes and change, Derek Gunn.
There you go. Yes. What I'm talking about.
Yes, that's
Savant, man. What is wrong with him, man? What is wrong with him? You can't contain him.
I wasn't even expecting that one. That was on the fly. That one. But though, I mean, those two were look, that was two things that caught my ear. He thinks it's definitely Bryce Young for the Panthers. I think I agree. I think everything else is just nonsense. The wild card is Houston. Houston sitting at 2. Do they go quarterback? Do they go Will Anderson? I mean, there's a lot of different ways that they could go, and with the hope that maybe that they can get back, the quarterback later at
12.
What is it, 12?
Yeah, at 12.
Yep, it's a gamble, but if you don't love Stroud and you don't love Richardson or Levis, then take the gamble and see what happens. I don't know. It works for me. Makes a lot of sense for me. All right, let's come back, guys, and we'll keep it rolling here with the NFL talk. We just wrapped things up with Sal Paolantonio. Aaron Rodgers about to meet with the New York media. Bengals, Burrow news, Vikings, Jefferson news, Titans news. We'll give you some Levis odds. Niners. This one is really interesting. A possible trade that they explored or could still explore. And we'll look back at 40 years ago today, the 1983 NFL draft, which was filled with surprises and Hall of Famers and a lot of craziness. So we'll get into all of that when we return. Don't go anywhere. That's Derek. That's Barrett. I'm Rob. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I'm going to tell you about Flynn Tree Services right now. Flynn Tree Services is an experienced, licensed, and insured Pennsylvania tree services company that will trim or remove any unwanted trees off of your property. They are experts at trimming all types of trees, and they serve southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and northern Delaware. Flynn Tree Services specializes in tree removal, stump grinding, as well as tree pruning. Now, keep in mind, we're getting great weather right now, but when that summer hits and you get the winds and the storms and everything that goes along with it, you don't want to wait till then. Get your trees evaluated now, and you know if you have to do anything. Give their Facebook or Instagram page a look for a sampling of their work or more information. You give them a call as well, 610-850-2848. That's 610-850-2848, or online at flynntreeservices.com. That's flynntreeservices.com.